What's up, everybody? What's up? It's your boy, the original cop with attitude, once again, Zeke Arkham, with my podcast, Reasonable Suspicion. And today we got Officer T involved. My main man. He and I have been going back and forth. We're both on Twitter, on TikTok. We've both been doing our thing, and he's got a lot to say. We're going to talk about the what do you call it? The 500-pound gorilla in the room, the pink elephant in the room, whatever the hell that saying is. We're going to talk about Tyre Nichols, right, the situation involved in that, and just give our perspectives as two men in law enforcement who are looking at it differently. So, T, tell everybody about yourself. Tell us, who you are, what you do, and give us your background.
Yeah, well, man, Z, thanks for having me on there. I appreciate it. You know, I love talking to you about this stuff, and it's good that we had this because, on my Twitter feed, I've seen a lot of people saying, the silence of the blue is deafening right now, but they don't know that we actually have these conversations, and it's important for us to have this conversation because that helps us, during our daily work life, our daily patrol life. So we do have these conversations, whether we think the outcome is good, we think the outcome is bad. It's just an honest conversation, and also helps us do our job better. But I've been in law enforcement for going on year 11 now, man. I'm going on year 11. I'll be 36 Friday.
Rookie.
Hey, man, I don't know. I got promoted to a sergeant last summer, so I'm getting used to that. Being in the office versus being out there with my guys. I'm still out there, but it's a lot of admin work now. But it's a growing thing for me. I actually love it. Mary, I got 3 wonderful boys, and this is a job where it's not that I set my sights out to do as a young man, but an officer saw me and said, you have the personality to interact and change and engage with the public. You should think about, getting into law enforcement. And at that time I was working 2 jobs, and I saw it as a gig with a retirement and something to get out of my mama's basement. But I've actually grown to love it, and it's actually changed me. And I was able to make some positive interactions in the community as well during my young career in law enforcement.
Sounds good. Man, you a rookie sergeant too. So I would definitely be able to give you a couple of orders, man.
Oh man, okay.
But no, you know what? I like hearing those kind of stories, man. Someone came up to you and talked to you and wanted to get you involved in the community. I've always been a big fan of that. Anybody that follows me on Twitter, anybody that has ever talked to me, knows that I'm big into cops giving back to the community. We work in these communities. People see us. We stand out. The uniform makes us stand out no matter who you are. So I've always been a fan of reaching out to the community and doing that neighborhood policing, that community policing. So I'm always good with that, and I appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thank you.
But just to get into it real quick, so let's talk about Tyre Nichols. For anybody that has been under a rock and has no idea what's been going on, Tyre Nichols is a young man that the video came out of him getting beaten badly by 5 Memphis PD officers. And what makes this video bad is the fact that these 5 officers were all black. So now we're getting into the conversation of black people in policing. We're getting into the conversation of brutality. We're getting into the conversation of, is policing racist, or what's the new narrative now? Because everybody always said, oh, it's the white cops you gotta watch out for. It's the white cops, but now they're saying it's the black cops you gotta watch out for. And I'm still trying to figure out how you have black cops that grew up in black neighborhoods that have black people all around them and have black families, and they're still somehow white supremacists. Even on my Twitter page, I'm called a white supremacist.
Right.
almost all the time, I'm still trying to figure that one out. Like how you mean tell me I could have joined the Klan all this time? I made history. Hey, the first Black Grand Dragon of the KKK.
Right.
I'm pretty sure somebody's gonna have a problem with that within the KKK,
right.
but
I don't know how well you'll be receptive in there, but
because I've always said, man, I can't be a white supremacist. I don't know if there's like a entrance interview for it, but I'm gonna fail walking through the door. Like, get the hell out of here. So, I mean, what's your experience been, man? Are they trying to tell you you're part of a white supremacist system, or are they calling you one, or like what's your experience?
So, I mean, this stems back even before this case, right? When I started speaking about what the real problems are in the African American community, right? To me, white supremacy is far low down the list in this day and age, right? In this year, in 2023, it's more opportunities, more stuff out here for Black folks to get into. You really don't have an excuse, in my opinion. But when you speak against the narrative, and I don't know why it's only in our culture. I mean, it's really sad to see. But I get the most hate from people who got the same skin color as me. And it's sad is because I'm trying to make them see a different perspective of what the mainstream media, what these athletes, these Hollywood actors are trying to tell you. And I try to tell them these Hollywood actors are telling you stuff. Meanwhile, they live in gated communities, but they're telling you one thing. So I've been called the same stuff you've been called, bootlicker, Uncle Tom. I don't know how we're white supremacists. I really don't. I don't know how they get that out of that. But it's because we don't just see white people as they're the devil. Like, no, man, it has nothing to do with white people. It has everything to do with us. And once we figure out how we can fix ourselves in our community, once we come together, then we can, tackle on these other stuff that's going on. I mean, when I first got into law enforcement, even my family wasn't even receptive of that. You know what I mean? It was only my immediate family. And still to this day, I don't have a great relationship with all of my family, but that's not something that, I worry about now. That's something that I had to let go a long time ago. And like I said before, it's sad that people that look like me don't even want to give this way of thinking a chance.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a lot of us. I've lost family members as well who, when I was telling them I was going into the police academy, did everything they could to try to dissuade me from doing it. And then once I got in, they were like, oh, well, he's gone.
Right.
And then now, especially me being more conservative, more of a conservatarian, I guess I call myself now.
Yeah.
Conservative libertarian. Now they're really like, who'd you vote for in the last? No. You want to move where? No.
Right.
No. So, I think we've all faced that. But let me show you a video I saw. I just want to get your view on this because Whoopi Goldberg, our good friend Celie, said something on The View.
Terrible.
So let's I know I don't even understand why that show is still.
When will the brutality finally lead to some police reform from the ground up? Because clearly, it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman. It is a problem in the police, in the policing itself. Seems things don't seem to make sense to people unless it's somebody they can feel or they can recognize. But how many times do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything? I'm not suggesting that. So don't write us and tell me what a racist I am.
Now that's Celie who said you ain't going. What was it from The Color Purple? You ain't gonna have nothing till you do right by me.
When I see videos like that, it's always come from people who's not in the job, right? It's always someone who's didn't put on the vest, didn't put on the boots, don't got the belt, don't have to deal with the worst of people for a 8, a 10, a 12-hour shift. They have no idea. And not only that, it's one thing to not have an idea, but it's another thing to not want to see what they do. Want to understand what they do, want to understand what they go through on a daily basis. So people don't realize that thin blue line is the line between good and evil. If it wasn't for that blue line, it would be a whole different society out here. I tell you that right now. But people don't see that because they're living in safety, right? They don't have to worry about that because the police are always going to be here for the most part. Now, when these celebrities say stuff like that, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other for me personally, because I never listen to what they say. That show is terrible, and I don't know why they're even on air. But the normie will listen to that, right, and think there's some validity to that. Do we need to see white people get beat up before we see some change? First of all, 98% of the policing in this America is good policing. Man, you don't see the good stuff every day. You don't see the lives change every day. And it's not even about being a hero all the time, pulling somebody from a burning car, or dealing with that sexual assault victim, or dealing with that domestic assault victim, dealing with a child that's been sexually assaulted, or going to that family that just lost a loved one. You're there, right? You have to deal with that internally and take that home and be professional while you're doing that. The call ranges, the hats that officers have go from, okay, there's a loud party next door to there's a robbery in progress with injuries. You know what I mean? There's a vehicle fire with people inside it. And you have to juggle all these calls during the day. I'm not making excuses for bad officers. Trust me. Most of the good officers out here, we don't like the bad officers because they make their job that much harder. We want them out of here, and we do talk about that. And the police departments have systems to weed out the bad officers. I'm not saying every system is perfect, but is every school teacher perfect? No. Is every doctor perfect? No. Is every pastor perfect? No. Yeah, but they're not getting the same heat as law enforcement, right? Because our job is just a little bit different, a little bit unique, and you have to be a strong individual to do this job, and that's why everybody can't do this job. So Whoopi, I've been tuned her out since Sister Act 2. You know what I mean? I don't watch that. That's the last time I heard from her. But I encourage people to get away from this noise. And I know that message is going to go in on one ear out the other to some people because they worship these celebrities and these. I call them Holly weirdos. If you follow me on Twitter, I say that all the time. That's just what they are, man. They have no sense of normal reality. They live in a different realm. They live in a different reality than what we do as people. So please stay away from listening to anything that they have to say.
My thing is, though, there is video of white cops facing bad police action. Mm-hmm. Tony Tempa, Daniel Shaver. There's video of this. Only problem is, because this is a white cop dealing with a white person, it doesn't make the news.
Right.
And it's like you said, there are bad cops out there who shouldn't be cops in the first place. And there are good cops. And the good cops I take up more than 99% of the police force.
100%.
I'm a big fan of saying, what do people think goes on in police locker rooms? The bad cops are, today I'm gonna, steal some money. I'm gonna, take a TV out of the store. They're twirling their mustaches.
Just terrorize the community just for the fun of it.
Yeah, let me terrorize. I'm just gonna terrorize the community today. And that's good. And that's good. Cops are in the corner. No, please, oh Lord Jesus, we can't. You've got these Hollywood movies where, the rookie to the police force and he sees all the corruption that's going on in there, and he's like, I must take a stand.
Right.
And people think this is real. Dude, this is Hollywood. It's a movie.
Exactly.
So listen, me personally, and I'm not going to get into specifics because his case actually was it made the news. Mm-hmm. But I've only known one bad cop in my entire career.
Right.
Where he was doing stuff and he was reported by all of us.
Mm-hmm. And
guess what? He was black. Excuse me. He's black. I'm pretty sure he's still black. He was black back then. He's black. And he was like a bona fide leftist too. That was the funny part of it. Everybody's like, oh, Blue Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. Where are you guys? He wasn't a Blue Lives Matter kind of guy. Matter of fact, I was friends with him on my personal Facebook page, and he used to support Kaepernick. He used to support BLM. He hated Trump. So I mean, he wasn't a Blue Lives Matter type of dude.
Right.
But he was a bad cop. We all reported him. Internal Affairs arrested him. And me personally, he tried to reach out to me for something. I said, listen, bro, do me a favor, lose my number.
Yeah.
Do that for my sake, because the last thing I need is Internal Affairs going through your phone and seeing my number. So
exactly.
And trying to figure out why you called me. So leave me alone, leave.
Exactly.
But people don't understand this. They see these romanticized Hollywood portrayals of what goes on in police precincts or police bases, barracks, whatever people fall out of. And they form these opinions and they become experts. Everybody graduated from the social media police academy.
Everybody's dad's a lawyer, you know what I mean? So
yeah, you're sitting there, you're discussing police procedure with people on Twitter. Then you're like, wait a minute, where do you work? Where'd you get your criminal justice degree, or where'd you go through the academy? Oh, nah, man, but I watched Law and Order SVU all 23 seasons, so I'm good, man. I'm good. Let me. Speaking of what happened with Nichols, Tyre Nichols. Let me just ask you real quick before we move on to the next thing I want to show you. What was your immediate reaction when you saw the video, the streetlight camera?
So my initial reaction is, well, this isn't good, right? That's my first. And then, but see this, and we'll probably get into it, but there's so many avenues here that my mind went to, because I'm a logic person and I like to know the logistics of how everything goes on, right? So my first thing is, all right, what's the initial interaction with these guys, right? What was the initial interaction with this guy? And then to see the way that they just kind of didn't have no due regard for what they were doing, knowing that they have body cams on, knowing that most our cruisers have cameras on them, and then we got the pole cam as well that catches everything. My first reaction is, why? You know what I mean? Why? Especially in this day and age when we really are watched. You know what I mean? I get watched every time I put that vest on, and that's just leaving my house. You know what I mean? It's why would you get involved? And then why would no one out of the five say, hold up, man, what's going on here? We need to take a step back and rein. Whether they're seeing the red, you get that tunnel vision, somebody should have said, hey, let's just stop what's going on. You would think somebody would do that. Because I trust the guys that I work with to do something like that. And we're trained to do something like that. And so my first initial reaction was, why?
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that these were diversity hires. Which whether they were or they weren't, I don't know. I'm not going to say they were diversity hires. At the same time, I'm not going to say that they deserve the job,
right?
Regardless of merit. That's a whole other conversation we can have as far as affirmative action and who's hired because they're black. We could talk about Kamala Harris and all that. Ketanji Brown Jackson. We could talk about all that. That's a whole other podcast.
I'm here for that conversation too. Whenever you want.
Yeah, we can have that one too. but I'm not. Yeah. I'm not going to get into that. But they had that Scorpion unit, and from what I'm hearing on the inside, they were basically left alone because they were successful. They got the guns, they got the criminals, they got the drugs. So they were left alone for the most part. This is just what I'm hearing. I can't confirm this, but this is just what I'm hearing.
Right.
So now this happens, and the first thing their police chief does is disband the Scorpion unit, which seems to be a knee-jerk reaction, because I wouldn't disband the unit. I would give it some time off, and then I would bring it back.
Right.
You know, just
Individual.
out of sensitivity for the family.
Right.
But my thing is, do you want to drive down crime or do you want to stop people from getting their feelings hurt?
Mm.
You know, I'm pretty sure if somebody's getting robbed somewhere, they're going to be like, damn, I wish that Scorpion unit was here, you know?
Right.
But the first thing she did was she disbanded the unit. And now we're talking about oversight. We're talking about supervision. We're talking about, you know, who was these officers' immediate supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about, was there some sort of history between Tyre Nichols and all of the cops or one of the cops or however many, you know? What have you been thinking? The more information, the more video comes out, the more background on these officers is there.
There's a lot of rumors going around, and again, I don't want to be throwing stuff out there that's not true. I mean, people were telling me, at least today, when I was on duty, he may have been messing around with somebody's wife or girlfriend or something like that. When I saw the way they were going in on him, that seemed more personal to me. Like that's just like a personal attack. You know, seeing that and what I thought about that, there's a lot that still go through my mind because I still don't think we don't have enough explanation of what's going on. Like they're going to be charged, they're going to be convicted. So it's going to be interesting to see what their testimonies are, to say, hey, you know, if they plead guilty, not guilty, or they take a deal. But it'll be interesting to see what they have to say on the situation. Now, the chief is black, the 5 officers are black, the guy that they dealt with was black. So I mean, this is a department issue in policing. You know, nobody wants to do the job anymore. So, you know, the excuses that, you know, departments are using now, I don't think it's a good excuse, but we got to get what we can get, right? I still don't think that's a good excuse because like we said earlier, you got people that's walking around that's police officers that shouldn't be police officers. My opinion on diversity hires, just make sure you have a good officer, whether they're white, black, whatever. Affirmative action and stuff like that. It sounds nice on paper, right? It looks good, you know, to the public. Oh, you know, they're really trying to diversify the department. But when you hire people based off that and not based off their skin color and not in the rest of their credentials, how do they do in the background? How do they do in the academy? How do they do in a psych test? You're ignoring that to try to fit a narrative. You kind of almost put yourself in a situation to end up with stuff like this, right? Where people could get seriously hurt or killed. And that's something that these departments have to be more aware of.
I agree. You know, I've always said I'd rather have 20 really good, solid cops, you know, who are in it for the right reasons than 100 and 80 of those are guys I wouldn't trust to watch my dog.
Right.
You know, like, you know, I wouldn't trust them with $5.
Right.
You know, even $5, you gotta count all 5 of them dollars when you get them back. You know, listen. Like I said, the cop I knew, and I'm gonna have everybody messaging me now on Twitter. Yo, Zeke, you gotta tell me who it was, man. He was in the news. Word, you gotta tell me. I'm gonna have everybody messaging me. Watch.
Right.
Whoever's listening to this. But I'd rather have, you know, this cop I knew, he was that type. You know, you give him $5 and like, hey, listen, man, I'm gonna need that $5 on Friday. You better count all 5 of them dollars, and then you guys sit and look, hold them up to the sunlight. You know, make sure it's real.
You got to borrow $5 back from him.
Yeah. So you know, I'd rather have solid quality guys. You know, right. I'm all about you gotta make the standards harder.
Right.
You need to look all the way back into his background, you know, and make sure his or her background. Make sure there's no, my favorite word, foolywang. Make sure there's no foolywang going on in the background.
100%.
But let me show you this this video now by my favorite Reverend. Let me ask you something. Like, do you have to say the Reverend before?
I think that's birth certificate. I don't know, but you have to.
The Reverend, because he's not just Reverend Al Sharpton. He's the Reverend Al Sharpton. But
and seeing that black and white video of police beating Rodney King senselessly over a traffic violation. 1991. And here I am now in 2023. And I'm looking at another video, this in color, where I'm seeing another black man being beat to death. Rodney didn't die. This is worse. It's beat to death with no mercy on no crime that they can even find that he had committed. And to make it even more egregious, beat by 5 black cops.
Well, that was the Reverend Al Sharpton. Because you know he's not going to let this pass without him trying to put his name somewhere on it. I'm pretty sure him and Ben Crump had to sit down.
So the guys right there.
Yeah, yo, Ben, I'm an old man. You gotta let me handle this one. You know, you young. You know, you gotta let me. You know, Al Sharpton. Whatever happened, Al Sharpton, whatever his diet plan is working too well.
Yeah, if you know the old Al Sharpton, what he looked like, he ain't look like that.
Yeah, because Al Sharpton used to be like a grand champion sumo wrestler. That brother enjoyed his Waffle House.
Yeah,
he was enjoying the
chicken,
all the soul food up. Yeah, the chicken and the grits up in Harlem. He was enjoying all that.
Right.
National Action Network. Their food bill was about a good $400-500 a week. And now Al Sharpton, that brother looked like he looked a little too thin. I ain't gonna really go into it, but
I kind of get worried about him looking that thin, man.
I know. His suits are like a child size now. You
and they still loose.
But you knew Al Sharpton wasn't gonna let this one pass.
Of course.
But is it more egregious because these are black cops, or is it like, I mean, or did he just admit to all of us that he's race baiting? You know, he's just, if it was a white cop, it wouldn't be so bad. It's black cops.
So like they can't push the narrative of white supremacy as hard as they would have if it was a white officer or white officers that did this. So it's all black officers. So now they got to push the narrative of, well, it's the system of policing that's white supremacy that made these black cops do this. It's crazy how they switch up the narrative to fit whatever motive that they're trying to push. But, my biggest question is this: outside of this incident, which again, we all agree is not a good incident, it's literally black on black crime. I see videos of black dudes jumping other black dudes, shooting black dudes in the street, teenagers stealing cars, killing innocent folks, all got black skin like me. All of a sudden, we're worried about this right here. What about all the other lives that's changed on a daily basis, lives that are lost, people screaming for their mom as well when they're getting beat to death, or they're getting shot to death, or they're getting stabbed to death over nothing. Here in Virginia, we had a baby girl get killed. A domestic situation, 3 years old. Guy comes into the house, shoots up the whole house, kills baby girl. She can't run. Everybody else run out, right? She's 3. She can't go nowhere. What was the reason for the shooting? Food stamps.
Wow.
So you're telling me you're outraged over this, but you're not outraged over that. I don't see Ben Crump. I don't see your boy talking about that right there.
Oh, he ain't my boy. he ain't my boy. Oh, hey, listen. Mm-hmm.
There's no national. I mean, that's local news for us. And you from New York? I'm about 45 minutes outside of DC. There's crime happen all the time up there. I really wish, and this is what bothers me, is the selective outrage, right? It's selective. Literally, black folks are getting killed every day, not by white people, by black people, like people saw in this video. That's literally happened every day. There's no outrage. Nobody wants to talk about it. No celebrity wants to touch it. Al Sharpton don't get on his private jet to come talk about that baby girl that's killed over some food stamps. You've got to be kidding me right now. And this is why I kind of hesitate on being upset about this incident. Yes, I'm upset, but the fact that you guys ignore everything else that's going on in our community, this is literally the same thing. These guys just had uniforms on. That's it. That's the only difference. It's the same thing. These guys just had uniforms. Now, people, the argument I get is, well, they're police officers. They're supposed to, protect and serve the community. But people don't realize that people are just people, right? Bad people are going to be bad people, whether they got a uniform on or not. But you don't want to address the issue of black on black violence only when it comes to the police. And that's the most frustrating about this incident. It was there for Floyd too, but I think this one, because it was just all black officers, and now everyone's upset, but this happens every day. You got a holiday weekend in Chicago where 64 people get shot and 14 get killed and 5 children get injured. I don't understand the selective outrage, and that's what upsets me the most.
You make a good point, because if you look at the latest FBI crime statistics, I think black folk have actually outpaced white people. I was looking at the recent numbers last night, and I took a quick note. I wish I had grabbed a screenshot of it. But black people, as far as the pure numbers, as far as murders and on black and black murders, actually managed to outpace white people, white on white murders. And everybody goes, oh, well, it's intraracial, so it's nothing to get upset about. Yeah, well, when we in total are less than 13% of the population versus white folks, who I think are at the last count 60% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at who's actually committing the murders. So it's mostly black men,
mm-hmm.
who make up less than 6% now of the population. And then out of that 6%, because you and I aren't going out there shooting people,
mm-hmm.
well, at least not not without a reason.
Right.
You kick down my door, I might shoot you, but not you personally. You have an open invite, but a stranger happens to kick down my door. Hey, listen, dude,
you gotta do.
That door is expensive. The hell did you kick it down for? But no, I mean, so you look at who's doing it. So you got about maybe 1 to 2% of the population committing this number of murders. You're looking at at least 50% of the overall murders in the country. It's a problem.
A big problem.
It's a huge problem. And when I point this math out to people, I get called a coon. They put the little Daffy Duck tap dancing GIF on my Twitter, which I actually love that, by the way. That's actually my favorite. I love seeing that. I actually saw the actual cartoon the other day. My daughter was watching it. And I went, ooh, ooh, ooh.
He's like, I know that guy.
But you can't talk about this sort of thing.
Right.
Al Sharpton isn't going to go to Chicago and protest the wholesale slaughter of black men that's going on there. He's not going to go to New Orleans, which is number 1 in murders per capita. He's not going to go to St. Louis, which was number 1 and number 3 for a while. He's not going to these places. He's not going to Baltimore or DC or any place else. He's going to wait. He's going to pick his shots. He's going to wait where he can make the most money and get the most grift off of it. And he's going to go in there and put himself at the forefront.
Right.
And my thing is, I keep thinking of that line by Booker T. Washington, that there's a certain class of colored person who makes money and makes profit and makes a name for himself off of convincing black folk over and over and over again that they're oppressed.
Right.
I've been thinking about all the hypocrisy that's out there now. And I put my last tweet said, if I personally say I'm not oppressed, my first response is usually from white liberals is, oh, that's just your story. That's just you.
Right.
But let's say somebody else comes out and says, well, I am oppressed. They go, oh, yeah, he speaks for all black folk. Look at him. He's oppressed. And because he said he's oppressed, all black people are oppressed.
Right.
So what makes his story different from mine?
Nothing.
The fact that he's telling a story that makes you a hero, because now you get to fly in and be a hero, and my story doesn't give you the opportunity.
Right.
So you know, you have people like Al Sharpton, Sean King, Talcum X, all those people. Colin Kaepernick, who nobody knew who people didn't know who the hell he was until he started throwing his little temper tantrum on the sideline, and now all of a sudden he was able to milk that into some sort of social justice cause. But you know, when in your opinion, and here's a question I'm leading up to, when in your opinion are people going to start seeing through all of this? They're going to start seeing through the Ben Crumps. They're going to start seeing through the Al Sharptons, the Sean Kings, the Colin Kaepernicks, the Jamel Hills. When are they going to start seeing through all of that and start saying, you know what? The problem isn't the police, because the police react to crime.
Mm-hmm.
When are we going to start taking responsibility for our own actions? When are we going to step up and say we don't want the drug dealers in our neighborhood, so we have to work with the police to get them out? We don't want the gangs in our neighborhoods, so we're going to work with the police, and we're going to start filming the gang members and putting them out there. We're going to stop filming the police doing their jobs. We're going to film the gang members who are robbing us on our way home, who are stealing from us, who are selling drugs in our neighborhoods, who are keeping the value of our neighborhoods down. When is it going to end? When are black folk going to wake up?
Well, as you were talking, man, that was the question that was going through my mind. Is like, when are black folks going to start getting pimped? Because that's all that's happening. You got people up here that's using the black struggle and making money off of it, essentially, and we keep feeding into that. We keep voting people into power that just, you know, satisfy our emotions. You know, black folks are emotional people for whatever reason. We react off our emotions, and that's how you get people like Joe Biden up there with Charlemagne the God. I hate saying that name. I hate saying that, but he gets on there and he says, "If you don't vote for me, you're not black," which is
ain't black,
right? I would think that would be racial, you know, a racist statement. Yet people go out and vote for that, right? But they get mad at me for voting for Trump because he says, hey, listen, the Democrats ain't been doing nothing for y'all. Give me a chance. Let me see what I can do for y'all. Not only did he do something for us, you know, he made life better, not only for us in this country, but for America in general while he was president. But, you know, that question I ask every day, and it's not, to me, I would say this, not until we decide that our black leaders aren't worth anything, not until we change our culture, music, you know, the stuff that we promote in our music is detrimental to black men, black women, promotes violence, promotes sexuality and immorality, promotes belittling our women, promotes taking something that's not yours, promotes a crime life, drug life that half of these rappers don't even live in the first place. But that's our culture. You know, when we take a stand and say, hey, you know what? These black leaders that we have, these so-called black leaders that we have, aren't doing anything, and listen to people. Like, I like Jason Whitlock. I like his show. Shout out to Jay. But he has a guy on there named Delano Squires, who's from DC. Very educated, very well-spoken. He writes columns for The Blaze. Always well put together. When we start listening to people like that, you know, that actually have something to say, actually have to say, hey, listen, we need to look internally at our problems and deal what we have to deal with first, a lot of stuff will change. When we talk about the system, right? The system is, you know, against us, but you don't talk about abortion. That's literally a system created to diminish black folks, essentially, right? It's literally for that purpose. Yet we still got the black community committing most of the abortions. We got black men sleeping with these women, fatherless homes, not taking care of their sons. You got black folks proud to be on welfare. You know, this is the stuff that we got to change. And if we want to say, hey, well, when are we going to change as a Black community? We got to get rid of all that stuff. Honestly, I think we got to step away from government help. That's just my opinion, man, because that's an excuse, in my opinion. I'm not saying everybody's life or everybody's road is easy, everybody's path is easy. It's not. But in today's age, you don't have an excuse, man. You have every right to do whatever you want to do and make money in this country just like everybody else. And stop teaching these kids at a young age that, oh, the system's already against you. That puts a negative, weak mind, in that child's thought process. You're already going out there thinking, well, I can't do nothing because the system's already against us. We have to stop doing that. So in my opinion, it's just, we got to get rid of these so-called Black leaders, and we got to change the way we vote and change our mindset about living in this country and going about our business.
Great answer. And actually, I interviewed Delano Squires, very good guy to speak to.
Awesome.
I definitely, you know what? I gotta have him back for this
Please.
new for this new run I'm doing here on social media, and definitely gotta talk to him again because I can't tell you how many people reached out to me and said, "Wow,
Right.
That guy's great." But funny, my daughter is 7 years old, and she put on YouTube and saw a Cardi B video. And of course, Cardi B was twerking because that's all she does.
Right.
And my daughter thought it was the funniest thing. And so my daughter starts dancing like that. And I had to have a long talk with my daughter that there will be no twerking in this house.
From anyone.
From anyone. There'll be no twerking. I shut that down right away.
Right.
Ain't gonna be no. But T, it's been a great talk, man. It's been a phenomenal talk. Tell us where we can find you on social media.
I'm my biggest platform is Twitter. So at Mr. Willis 23. That's where I do most of my damage. I do have an Instagram _cigar guy 23. I'm big in cigars. See, I don't know if you like cigars or not, but I'm a big cigar guy. And that TikTok is the same cigar guy. I appreciate you having me on, man. Like I said, I love talking to you. I love the stuff you say. Keep talking and keep up the fight. And I hope to be back more and have more discussions with you, bro.
Thanks, bro. I really appreciate that. I really do. The honor is definitely all mine. And I've never smoked a cigar before. One of my old partners he lives literally about 20 seconds away from me. I mean, we used to. That's how actually we became partners. We used to carpool to work.
Right.
And my old sergeant back in the day was like, you know what? If you're here, you work in the same tours, you carpool to work, you might as well just be partners.
Right.
But he was big into cigars, and he's always trying to get me into cigars. So maybe later, who knows? Yeah, man. I just feel like the first time I ever smoke a cigar, I'm gonna cough and hack. Well, people are gonna be like, he got the Rona. Get away from him.
But, hey man, you can't learn if you don't try, man. I'm sure you'll be just fine. It's a good pastime, man. Most of the time I sit with my buddies. We have a nice cigar and nice little cocktail and just talk, just like me and you. Just talk about stuff. Just a nice casual conversation. I don't have to leave my house and go anywhere fancy. I got it all set up right here. And it's an old man thing, man. So I've embraced it.
I don't know, man. Like I don't think of myself as an old man. At least until I stand up, my back is like, nah, you old.
Exactly.
or like what happened to me at work. This guy comes in, and I'm talking to him, and I'm making like some references, and he had no idea what I was talking about.
Right.
And finally, I said, "Wait, like, how old are you?" And he said his age, and I'm doing the math, and I said, "Man, I'm old enough to be your father." and I had to, like, how like you say something,
right,
and you're realizing it at the same time, like it's hitting you at the same time, and
right,
my feelings hurt, man, because I was like, man, like when you were born, like I was graduating college, man, like you not like that ain't supposed to happen,
Now all my songs are getting retroed, man. You know what I mean? Like there's samples now. The songs that I grew up listening, they're samples.
I know they're on the oldie station now.
Right.
Like disrespectful. Don't do that.
Oh man,
But T, man, good having you on, brother.
thanks, man. I appreciate you. Like I said, man, I love having these conversations, and let's keep it going, bro.
Absolutely. And this is season 3 of my podcast, Reasonable Suspicion. This is going to be a YouTube exclusive. And I honestly didn't think I'd make it to 3 seasons. I thought I'd do about 5 episodes of this and get tired of it. And because my mind is always, that's how my mind works. So like, hey, nobody listen to this anyway. But, thanks to everybody who reached out to me and wanted to have me back and spoke to me. And, hey, Zeke, man, you going to keep doing interviews or what? And, so thank you.
Right.
And if this is for my main man T, this is Zeke Arkham. And as always, I got you 6. Thank you. God bless and good night.